Hall of Fame basketball coach once told me, never take literally anything I tell you in the week after a season ends. It is all too fresh, the emotions, good or bad. Got to give it some time. I used that to frame the comments of Kevin Durant. He told our Chris Haynes, quote, this game, your craft, you have to continue studying it no matter how much you enjoy it. Nobody wants to be in school that long. I know I don't. At some point, you have to be ready to graduate. 35, that's just a number in my mind, close quote. Durant turns 30 in September. This guy just loves playing too much for me to believe that 5 years will satisfy his appetite to play the game. And as you get older, you realize that 5 years goes in a blink. I told Russillo on his podcast the other day, I'm done after my 5-year deal here's up. What? That's what I told him. Who am I kidding? I'll be doing weather in 20 years, somewhere. I hope. I also think and hope Durant plays beyond the number in his mind. Joined now by Amin Al-Hassan from Los Angeles. And Amin, you just heard my thoughts on Kevin Durant, and I respect the guy a lot. I think he's interesting. I think he's thoughtful. I also think that he's not going to be done when he's 35. What do you make of that?
You know what reminds me of, Scott? You know how in the NCAA tournament, guys play, they win, they lose, and they ask them, will you come back next year? Right. Said, no, we've got unfinished business here. I'm not leaving. And then a week later, I'm declaring for the draft. I mean,
right.
It's just... when you catch those guys in those moments, they say basically anything that comes to mind. But the reality is, when you're as good as he is, playing at the top of the game as he is, and winning, not just being awesome in his own individual right, but also highly successful, you don't put a cap on that. You don't walk away from being great. If he's feeling healthy and he's playing up to his capacity, which when you look at a guy 7 feet tall and his kind of skill set, that's a game that's going to age gracefully. There's no reason for him to walk away from that.
All right, let's pivot now towards free agency, which will be here in a couple of weeks. Obviously, LeBron is the most interesting and most important piece. What chatter do you hear and what do you buy?
Everyone's assuming he's going to opt out. That might not happen. He might opt into the last year of his deal, not necessarily because he wants to stay in Cleveland and he loves his current contract, but because he'll try to pull the same kind of move that Chris Paul did last year. Opt into the last year of your deal and then demand a trade. And so that's something to be aware of when you're looking at destinations. It's not necessarily just teams that have massive amounts of cap space. But obviously the big news today, I guess Gary Payton is the one that broke this news, that LeBron's sons have enrolled or have been accepted to enroll at Sierra Canyon High School here local in the Los Angeles area. It's going to be one of those summers, Scott, where we're just reading tea leaves and reading the smoke signals and trying to figure out what every little action means in the grand scheme of things.
We'll just read the tea leaves between now and late June and early July, and we'll see where they lead us.
You're so optimistic when you say July 1st or July 2nd. You really think LeBron's going to be done in a couple of days?
Yeah, I think so. I think it'll have. Look, yes. You're shaking your head. No, the news never holds. June. Look, Woj is going to be sitting here on his phone and in his burner phone, not burner accounts, burner phone, and he's going to be clicking them both. And we'll be on at midnight that night, and news will be breaking. I bet you.
Steak dinner.
Fine. You name the place.
You got it.
Taking it through another Monday, we're going to show you one of the best displays of sportsmanship you will see all year. That's coming up later, but we do start, Kevin, in the NBA.
Yeah, there's no offseason here, Michael.
No.
The draft is 10 days away, and June 29th is the deadline for the best player on the planet to decide if we'll have another summer of LeBron. If LeBron decides to opt out of his final year, that would set up decision 3.0. Before we get into the potential destinations, first, LeBron has to decline his $35.6 million player option for the upcoming season in order to become an unrestricted free agent. The Cavs can offer LeBron more money than any other team. The team's max is worth a projected $205 million over 5 years. All the other contenders in the sweepstakes, likely the Rockets, the Sixers, and the Lakers, can only offer him at most a max worth projected $152 million over 4 years. And right now, the odds show the Lakers are the front runner, followed by the Rockets. The Cavs and Sixers tied for the third best odds. The man who played a big role in the original decision, Dwayne Wade, weighed in on LeBron's thought process heading into this decision.
For me, I don't think it's a basketball thing. Obviously he's shown this year he could get to the finals, no matter what the circumstances are. I don't really think for him the basketball decision of saying, oh, let me go team up with 3 all-stars and I don't think. I think at this point in his life, it's more so of a lifestyle thing of where my family's gonna be the most comfortable, at, where I'm gonna be the happiest at. Because basketball-wise, he's so great, he can bring along and take along whoever.
Former teammate to a current teammate, Kevin Love weighing in to WKYC TV in Cleveland, saying it's something where I'm sure he will spend time with his family. And when that time comes to make a decision, LeBron will be in a good frame of mind. Obviously, I'd love to play with LeBron the rest of my career, but that will be a choice that he makes. Stephen A. Smith now with us. Stephen A., what's different about this decision for LeBron compared to the first two?
He has nothing to prove. He already delivered the championship. If you recall, the first decision involved him looking for a championship that had evaded him the first several years of his career. He had to go and learn how to become a champion, and Dwayne Wade and Pat Riley elevated him to that stature. Then after winning those two titles in Miami, there was still some vitriolic residue left behind in Cleveland because in some people's eyes, you had abandoned your hometown team. And so because of that and the fact that the city hadn't won a championship in decades, you vowed to go back there and work to deliver a championship. And within 2 years, that's exactly what you did. You won a championship, you erased a 52-year curse, and you took them to 4 straight NBA finals. So again, you had something to prove when you departed for South Beach. You had something to prove and something to provide when you decided to return back home. Now that you're a 3-time champion, you have absolutely nothing to prove. You owe no one anything, and there's no vitriolic residue that could be left behind where no matter what decision you make, because you've delivered on your promises and your vows. And the city of Cleveland and that Northern Ohio area is eternally indebted to you because of it. So now the world is his.
All right, so he got his titles when he left. He came back and got a title. So when you look at this, what are the options, the best option right now for LeBron James entering season 16?
Well, for me personally, it's a two-part situation. If it's about quality of life, you go to Los Angeles, the palm trees, the sunshine, the beautiful weather, the two $20+ million homes in Brentwood, one that you're renovating right now. You make that decision, particularly considering the fact that, you're producing shows, you have aspirations to go even further in Hollywood. You want to create a media giant yourself. That's one of his goals. So you got to take that into consideration. On the basketball front, it's got to sicken you and nauseate you that you continuously watch Steph Curry and Draymond Green and Klay Thompson laugh in your face because they've knocked you out and they beat you in the finals 3 of the last 4 years. And the 1 year you did beat them, it was because Adam Silver in the NBA gave you a stimulus package by suspending Draymond Green for that Game 5. So if you're LeBron James, that's got to sicken you to your core. You've got to be tired of that, and then you're looking for the ideal basketball situation to go into where you know that as soon as next year you can legitimately beat the Golden State Warriors for the championship. That means going to Houston to join James Harden and Chris Paul if Daryl Morey can pull that off, or it means going to the Boston Celtics.
Is there a situation or a team where this wouldn't work if LeBron was available?
What do you mean, where would it work? I don't understand your question.
Like, hypothetically, you mentioned the Celtics. Would that really work in Boston if Kyrie's still there? I mean, is that a scenario that would work? Or even Golden State, like you mentioned?
Kyrie wouldn't be there. Kyrie wouldn't be there because the likelihood is that Boston would look to move him, particularly with the elevation of Terry Rozier, Marcus Smart, along with Kyrie having to recover from his knee injuries. He wouldn't be there. Philadelphia could be an outside option. Golden State is going to entertain a lot of conversations. It's going to be with him. It's going to be in trade talks involving Anthony Davis. Not that the Pelicans are interested in letting him go in the slightest, but the Golden State Warriors don't play games. They are unapologetic about the fact that we are trying to negotiate a contract extension with Klay Thompson, but we don't believe necessarily that it will get done. And if that doesn't get done, combined with Draymond Green feeling from time to time that he may be part of trade rumors in the future, if you're talking about the possibility of Klay and Draymond being gone, then of course that opens the floodgates. But I can't see that happening. I see them keeping their core four in place and LeBron going somewhere else. It's just a matter as to whether or not he prioritizes quality of life for him and his family, or that he prioritizes going after Golden State because he's sick and tired of them beating us behind in the NBA Finals.
No offseason in the NBA, no days off for Stephen A. Smith here on SportsCenter.
Kevin Durant tells ESPN's Chris Haynes that he could see himself retiring from the NBA when he reaches 35. Now, he will turn 30 in September. he plans to stay with the Warriors. As a matter of fact, he could sign a new 4-year deal this summer. In discussing the possibility of retiring 5 seasons from now with Chris Haynes, Durant said, quote, "No matter how much you enjoy it, nobody wants to be in school that long. I know I don't. At some point, you have to be ready to graduate. 35. That's just a number in my mind." It's also the number on his jersey.
Will it be the last time he wears a Cavalier uniform?
We may as well start guessing about this offseason.
Or as I like to call it, where is LeBron going?
Everything is on the table.
Cleveland,
Houston, the Lakers, Philly,
the Golden State Warriors.
You got a chance. You make the play.
I don't want to see him trying to chase a ring.
I don't want to see him waste away in Cleveland.
Of course he's wondering, how can I beat this Golden State team?
The decision 3 for LeBron now on ESPN.com. Our Kevin Pelton writes how the Rockets can make the necessary moves to bring the King to Houston. Here's what he says needs to happen. First, LeBron needs to opt into his deal of $35.6 million for next season, hold off free agency until next offseason, and then get traded to Houston. This would be the same route Chris Paul did last offseason when he was dealt to H-Town. The second part for the Rockets to land LeBron, find a taker of Ryan Anderson's contract. He has 2 years, almost $42 million left on his current deal. Any deal with Anderson involved may have to include a third team to take his contract. If Houston and Cleveland were unable to make a deal with Anderson involved, then part 3, building a trade for LeBron without Anderson's deal. The Rockets would have to send at least $28.4 million in contracts back to Cleveland, and this type of deal could see at least 6 players go to the Cavaliers. A lot of things have to happen. Brian Windhorst on another decision ahead.
There's going to be a lot of conversation of what LeBron should do.
If you're LeBron, where would you go?
I don't think anybody would be shocked if he does leave.
Nobody knows what he's going to do this offseason.
LeBron James' basketball season is over.
Will it be the last time he wears a Cavalier uniform?
LeBron James' free agency season is about to open. James has said many times he wants to finish his career in Cleveland, but things have gotten complicated. As this season showed, the Cavs have regressed. Their future is unsure. James has to make a decision about how to spend his last act. And there are several factors to consider. What would leaving do to his legacy? 2 years ago, he not only secured one of the most improbable championships of all time, but hero status in Cleveland. Can he cash in some of it to make one last move? Or will people hold his words of finishing his career at home against him? What about James and Cavs owner Dan Gilbert? Can they trust each other? They've been playing chicken for a year now. Can these two men really enter into a 5-year agreement to work together? What about LeBron's option? He has one next season for $36 million. He could pick it up and roll the decision over, stay at home, and put off locking himself in to see how things play out. Or he could take the Chris Paul route and use that option as leverage to demand a trade from Cleveland. There's a long time between now and June 29th when LeBron has to decide on that option. And there's no such thing as tampering between players.
Where will LeBron be playing next
year? I just can't come up with a better fit than the Philadelphia 76ers.
I could see why he'd want to play LA.
I think he'll stay in Cleveland. I have yet to see an option that makes me go, he's out.
And it's hard to imagine that LeBron James is going to stay in Cleveland.
I don't think LeBron knows where he's going right now.
Will Kobe call on behalf of the Lakers? Will his friend CP3 reach out to discuss Houston? What about fellow free agent Paul George? Or will Ben Simmons call about Philly? Forget about team pitches in July. Player recruiting season is wide open right now. Then there's his family. His wife Savannah is from Akron. His 2 sons are basketball stars, soon to start high school. He has a deep-rooted foundation that's aimed at helping thousands of children in his hometown. It's more challenging than ever for him to pull up stakes.
LeBron James captures that elusive title.
James pulls up, puts it in. It's back-to-back titles for the Heat.
The Cleveland Cavaliers are the world champions. LeBron James leading the way with a triple-double.
The 2 times James has moved, he's changed the balance of power in the NBA. At age 33, he still has that juice. These are high-pressure times, and there's a lot on the line. And it's never been more complicated.
Brian Windhorst, to take a look at the notable potential free agents this summer. You see at the top of the list, the guy that knows LeBron quite well, Chris Paul. Paul George, of course, rumored to go to L.A. with the Lakers. Melo also contests the market. DeAndre Jordan, currently in L.A., and one of LeBron's closest friends, Dwayne Wade.